facial expressions there.
He was so happy. It was so much fun to be around. One of the things I say all the time about sports is you get to, like, be there for scheduled joy.
Yes.
Right? You get 20,000 people in an arena all at once.
Or scheduled misery.
Well, yes, either one. But that's pretty cool. All right, welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols, joined in here by our NBA champ in L.A., Richard Jefferson, our NBA champ in Texas, Kendrick Perkins. We're going to get into the huge Eastern Conference Final. It was so much fun. I just going to keep saying it. I loved it. I loved just the energy, the joy on the court in that moment. And look, prior to CP3's great performance last night, somebody predicted some of it. Let's take a little listen to what Richard Jefferson had to say.
Do what you've always done. Get everybody involved. Pick your moments, and then come fourth quarter, go be the Chris Paul that you've been all season, that you've been all over your career. That's your moment, because once you've established everybody else, that lane opens up for you to do your work. That should be his formula to go dominate that game.
Aw. And by the way, got every people involved early and then stepped on the gas himself late in the game. Richard, that was lovely. Good.
Well, you know what? I appreciate our producer, Steve, playing that clip, but I really wanted people to see the clip of Kendrick Perkins telling me I was wrong. He was like, "You're wrong. If he's going to do that," now look, he got the scowl. Started getting all scrunched up over there, everybody, because that's what he said. He said I was wrong, and this is why what was so impressive with Chris Paul, when he's really dominant, when Chris Paul is at his best, he is one of the best fourth quarter finishers. If Chris Paul goes out there and is like, "I'm going to try and score 40," it's like, no, Chris, you got to get those guys involved, and then go do what you've always done and be one of the most clutch, intense players in the fourth quarter, and he did it perfectly. I'm not saying he listened to me, but maybe he heard me.
Perk, what do you think the significance is of Chris Paul making his first trip to the NBA Finals?
Well, Rachel, I think it's everything, but can I address Richard for a second?
Numbers on the house, Perk, go do it.
Yeah, please, because first of all, look, Richard, you wasn't wrong for us the aspect of Chris Paul taking over the game late, because he did just that, right? But at the beginning of the game, if you were actually watching the game, the Clippers were in the zone. So it wasn't like he was running high pick and roll and dissecting the defense. They actually was punching it into DeAndre Ayton in the paint because the Clippers were small, and it was coming from everybody. It wasn't just Chris Paul.
I literally just said get everyone involved.
Can I finish? The Chris Paul that I witnessed last night, I saw him coming out actually searching for his shot. But I saw Devin Booker, I saw Mikal Bridges, I saw Jay Crowder actually making the emphasis to get the ball in the middle to DeAndre Ayton, and they got out of the zone in the second half. Now CP3 was bringing Big Cousins up in the high pick and roll and dissecting him. That's how he was able to get downhill. You can fool everybody else with that.
You can answer the question. The significance of Chris Paul's first final appearance.
Like you answered the question.
Yeah,
that's not what we're talking about.
You know what? It was everything. It was everything. You know why? Here's why. Because it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And the fashion that he did it in, I'm going back all the way to the start of this offseason. When he was with the Thunder, right? He had a choice. I'm pretty sure him and Sam Presti sat down. He could have negotiated a buyout. He could have joined the team like the Lakers or anybody else that were favored as a contender to go and try to chase a ring. No, he didn't shortcut it. He went to the Phoenix Suns where they had a young core, where they drafted players, and he went got it in the trenches. He went got it out the mud. He didn't shortcut the grind. This is why I appreciate this so much more than any other run by any other superstar, because he didn't run. He said, I'm going to go down here with money. I'm going to embrace these young up-and-coming stars in Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. I see they have some nice role pieces, and I'm going to be the leader. And this is why you have to appreciate Chris Paul, because of what he did and how he did it.
Well, it's interesting when you look at his career and how it maps out, right? We have a list of sort of his accolades, and you can argue who's a, quote, better player or but you can just look at more accomplished, right? Just look at the actual numbers of his All-NBA selections, his All-Star appearances, his assists career rank, his steals career rank, and this is, again, in the entire NBA history, he is 5th overall. So you can very easily say he is the most accomplished player to have never been in a finals before. And for me, this was amazing, by the way. This was the scene.
Now, guys, this is where I get old man grumpy. You're not done. I understand this. I know. I'm not. This is not. This is the thing. Giving some
Joy, you are being upset. You want to tamp down.
I'm not. No. I just know that first time my rookie year we went to the finals, this is what it was like. Second time, and we lost. Second time we go to the finals, it's like, no, there's no parties. There's no drink.
I'm sorry.
What?
So the second time you went to the finals, you weren't like that. You weren't reveling in it. You weren't doing the parties. And what happened, Richard?
Yeah, I understand we lost, but there's a level of focus. We did better. We did better in the second final.
By less.
We did better. We did better. We're still the greatest Nets team of all time.
Hey, man, let these...
Barely. That's a joke.
Let these guys have their moment, man. Let these guys have their moment.
That would worry me. That pseudo parade would worry me if the NBA Finals started tomorrow. But they don't.
They don't.
Eastern Conference Finals are way behind this series, right? They are playing their 5th game tonight, and the score is 2-2. So we know that the Eastern Conference Finals will go to 6 games at least, and then there will be a couple days until the NBA Finals start. So I am okay with them having a nice moment with their fans because they couldn't do it in their own building.
Just stay hungry. That's all I'm saying.
They got 5 more days to stay hungry, if not more.
Stay hungry and grumpy.
We'll do. The only thing I want to say about Chris Paul is this. One of the reasons I have liked covering and watching Chris Paul for his whole career beyond just the magic he does on the court is he is a scrapper, right? He is a smaller guy who has had to get into the NBA and be the point guard that he is by scrapping, by being competitive for every single inch, by working. This was not just God gave him the talent and body to be an NBA star. He put himself in the NBA. And the fact that he showed that same scrappiness, that same determination when a lot of people left him pretty much for dead when he was traded from Houston to Oklahoma City, the bright new shiny light that was shining in Houston with Russell Westbrook and James Harden, and here goes Chris Paul to this sort of NBA rebuilding wasteland, and that's not a knock on Oklahoma City. It's what Oklahoma City has set out to do. It is their intention. People thought, oh, well, okay, he's going to just be hurt a lot, and we know this is the end of Chris Paul's career, and he scrapped his way to the NBA Finals, and I have such admiration for that. I think it's a life. The significance for me of Chris Paul getting to the NBA Finals is the larger life lesson about how it's a long, long life.
Did she answer the question?
And you have opportunities beyond what happens to you in that one moment. As for the Clippers, let's talk about their side of the ball. They reached the conference finals for the first time in franchise history, right? And they did so without Kawhi Leonard since the middle of the second round. Here is Paul George on what he thinks would have happened if Kawhi was healthy.
Oh, we would be going on. This series would have been a lot different. Talk about one of the best players in the league being out, yet we were, inches, away from getting to the next round. So definitely, it's a what if.
So, Perk, I want to just say, he was asked the question. He didn't start this on his own. He was asked, how would things be different if Kawhi had been there? So please, what do you think of that response?
Well, I mean, he's supposed to say that, but at the end of the day, didn't the Clippers just beat the Utah Jazz, the #1 seed, the team that had the overall best record in the NBA, one of the dark horses that could have came out of the Western Conference? So you got to, without Kawhi, I mean, I know Kawhi
Well, he played half of that series, so they did have him for a couple of those wins.
That's what I'm saying, but we could say, I mean, the Phoenix Suns didn't have Chris Paul at the beginning, the first 2 games of the series. They could have capitalized on that moment. The Clippers could have, but they didn't. So then, look, we're not about to sit up here and do this at all. And I get it. Paul George was asked the question, but he had a chance to seize the moment. He had a chance to go up on this series. And by the way, Chris Paul just got back into round form last night. He was in COVID protocol. He had COVID. And Rachel, you covered a lot of people that dealt with COVID, from Jason Tatum to Dennis Schroeder to a lot of people that said, sometimes we just don't feel right. And at the end of the day, I just feel like Paul George and the Clippers missed a golden opportunity while CP3 was out to capitalize and take full control over this series. So I don't know if Kawhi was healthy that the Clippers would have beat Phoenix in this series.
And again, like Perk said, I believe that he believes this. And you know what? There's probably 5 or 6 other teams that believe if they were healthy, let's say the Brooklyn Nets, maybe the Los Angeles Lakers. There's a lot of teams that believe if they were 100% healthy, that their approach and the way the finals are, the way this postseason would have played out would be completely different. I do like his approach. Unfortunately, inside the basketball community, you're looking back at some last year's past success. This was last year's past failures. This year was all about what Paul George was able to do. Paul George was able to elevate himself to be like, okay, that's one of the top 10 players in the league. You can see it. He's doing it night in, night out. He's doing it. So there was positivity gain. Do I think that they would be in the finals without Kawhi, or if they had Kawhi? They gave him more room for error, because don't forget, they were 2 free throws away from most likely being having 3 wins. That's what I'm saying. There were multiple mistakes away, but when you have great players, it gives you more room for error. That was the only thing I picked up on that. But at the end of the day, I ain't going to question Paul George.
And by the way, that was his point a little bit about we were inches away. That's what he was talking about, was that game 2 in Phoenix. And look, in the micro for Paul George, these playoffs without Kawhi, the section without Kawhi, actually lifted him up.
Yes, it did.
He lifted his game. He elevated, as you said, Richard, and it lifted everyone else's opinion of him along with it. I do know that Paul George would trade all of that for having Kawhi by his side and feeling like he had a better chance to reach the finals himself. It is kind of what he's supposed to say, though. Yeah. All right, coming up, the NCAA is allowing student athletes to pursue name, image, and likeness deals. No. We'll react to that news next, because both of these gentlemen have an opinion on that one. First, though, time for our distant replay, this date. And we're into the draft clips, people. That's what we have for these dates. This is 1996 and a huge trade on draft night.
Vlade Divac wanted to stay with the Lakers, but the Lakers wanted Vlade to leave. The Lakers won. On Monday, Divac agreed to a draft day deal that had him headed to Charlotte in return for the son of a former LA Clipper, Kobe Bryant. Divac had threatened to retire rather than agree to the deal. Today, he backed away from that threat. The deal is not official until